Can we have your attention, please? We'll be starting up shortly. Good evening and welcome to the Planning Board for Monday, June 2nd, 2014. Tonight we have 3 matters on the agenda for public hearings. We do have 2 matters on for 847 Roger Street and 803 Roger Street, which is for a site plan on McDonald's on Roger Street, and also for Hannaford, which is adjacent to it, to amend the site plans that were improved in the past. We did receive another letter for continuance because we received one at the last meeting. At this point in time, the applicant did send a letter to us requesting that the matter be continued from tonight's meeting to the June 16th meeting. Also in the correspondence, they asked for continuance on the Zoning Board of Appeals matter because they have matters that are pending before them. Is anybody here this evening wants to be heard in regards to the site plans on Roger Street? Hearing none. What's the wish of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to grant the continuance until the June 16th Planning Board meeting for both public hearings at 847 Rogers and 803 Roger Street.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Can I have a question on
Sure.
that. There's a 90-day clock.
Yep.
Can we approve the continuance on the condition that the 90-day clock?
What we usually do, this would be the second time in, so we're only in a couple of weeks. Usually what we do is, if we're gonna continue it further, we have the applicant sign that we have a form, if they're gonna go beyond the period of time, because then if it's not, it's deemed accepted. So, I
Okay.
think we're still within the time frame. Yes. So the main thing is, so when we get close, we have them sign it or
Okay.
make a continuance, yeah. But I know what you're talking about, because if not, it says right in our rules and regulations, if we don't act in so many days from the filing, it's deemed accepted.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so if, regardless of what they do next meeting, whether they're here, and hopefully they'll be here, but if they're not, make sure they either have that, or you can tell them, we might go forward without them. You know, well, like, I know that their options are continuance, withdrawal, or whatever they want to do, or be forward, or if they're asking for another continuance.
Yes, by the time we get to the July meeting, that date will be beyond the 90 days.
Okay.
I did look
All
at the calendar
Yeah,
today.
so
but
either, so
They're
if-
still within the 90 days
okay,
now.
so if you have any communication with them, they're looking for another continuance, tell them that either have to have that signed or withdrawal, or, you know, just tell them these are the options they have, okay?
Right.
Is that satisfactory to you, Bob? Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. So we have the motion approved. All in favor, and the board voted yes. Any opposition? Hearing none. So moving along, we have a site plan review for 346 Western Ave. The Lowell Planning Board will hold a public hearing to hear all interested persons relative to the application by RLS Western Ave LLC seeking site plan review approval for development of a new structure located at the above address. The proposal consists of construction of 5,250 square feet. It's an industrial building, parking, grading, and associated utilities. The new building is being proposed as a contractor's garage. The applicant is seeking site plan review approval under section 11.3 and 11.4 of the City of Lowell zoning ordinance. The parcel in total comprises approximately 28,001 square foot of land and is located in the light industrial zoning district. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Matt Hammer. I'm representing RLS Realty for the development of 346 Western Avenue. The parcel is 28,000 square feet. It's located at the intersection of School Street and Western Ave. And if you're on School Street, this is actually an overpass for a roadway that comes up underneath here. And it's elevated, and Western Ave slopes down here off of School Street. And this property is approximately anywhere between 6 and 12 feet below the grade of the roadway, so it drops down more severely in this section and less down here. The parcel is 28,000 square feet. It's shown here. And right now, the parcel is partially vegetated.
Excuse me.
Some areas in here have been cleaned out from people, who have utilized this. This is a a common spot for, homeless folks or people that come in through underneath the bridge here. So this has been all cleaned up last year. There's a small wooded area here, a small brush area here, and this is grass. This is the Pawtucket Canal here. And there's a line here which just shows a small edge of the 100-year floodplain to the Pawtucket Canal, which is shown here. There's a street here called Cayenne Street that comes off here. And there's existing brick buildings which house various businesses all along the northerly side of Western Ave with adjacency to the railroad track. And here there's I believe it's a steam plant next to this, located right here. So we're proposing 5 individual contractor bays under one building, which is 35 feet by 150 feet. We're here this evening to seek for site plan review under the city ordinance of section 11.4. The individual bays will be accessed from the from Western Ave for pedestrian access, off of the existing sidewalk, and each unit will have a mezzanine section that'll be street level to Western Ave. We'll also be replacing the existing sidewalk as part of this project. There's a sidewalk underneath, some fencing and some overgrowth there, and there's some bituminous pavement underneath there, but we'll be completely restoring that entire section along the frontage of each of the units. Each unit will have a drive-under contractor bay around the back, and I've given each of the board members architectural drawings which show the contractor bays coming from behind each unit. So what happens is you come off of Western Ave down the drive, and then you access the drive behind garage on the back of each one of the 5 units. Each unit's approximately 1,000 square feet of contractor bay storage, and then the mezzanines approximately 300 or 400 square feet off the street level. For parking requirements, each unit's required to have 1 space, which gives you 9.7, which will be 10 spaces, which would be required. We're proposing 16. And also, these are contractor bays, so there's even more space within each of the contract garages. We're showing a handicap parking space on the rear, lower part of the parking area, located in the midpoint of the units. And there's another parking space to the west of the units, which are additional 7 spaces. We don't anticipate there's going to be a lot of traffic coming to these units, but we do have additional space to accommodate additional visitors to the property. We've also shown a enclosed dumpster to the west of the units, and landscaping areas along the east, and then the westerly side, which is has been cleaned up, will be additionally vegetated after the construction gets completed. We're also gonna propose a chain link gate to the far west of the property where it narrows down, just so that there is some access to that side of the property as well. We've met with the historic board briefly. We had a site meeting with Ms. Timon and Steve Stoll, just to get out on the site, take a look at the property, more specifically to take a look at the fencing that'll be similar to the fencing that's along the canals now, which is that white picket fencing. So Mr. Susi has provided a detail and rough sketch. We'll provide that in more formal nature, but we're going to utilize the existing steel poles that are currently installed and embedded into that granite wall. And we'll provide a sleeve over the top of those poles if they're able to accommodate what we're proposing, and provide that white fencing detail along the canal. And that was one of the main topics of discussion with the Historic Board. They also requested that we provide some additional fixed glass lighting on the rear of the building, because we have the contractor doors. It was looking a little stark to them, so we've added some lighting windows fixed above the garage doors to add more light and have it more visually appealing from the Riverwalk sidewalk, which is on the other side of the canal. An interesting aspect of this building is to step back from the sidewalk 5 feet. So we're able to provide a continuous sidewalk beyond the sidewalk that's there in front of the building, because we're on a sloped roadway. So if you're facing the building and you were to go right to access the 2 units there, you'd actually be going against grade. So there'll be a railing along the sidewalk to accommodate someone so they wouldn't fall down onto the sidewalk in front of our unit. And then conversely, going the other direction, there'll be a small retaining wall with some fencing along that, so that people coming in on the left-hand side of the unit wouldn't fall onto the sidewalk that's on Western Avenue. We feel as though the project meets all the site plan standards. In regard to minimizing the volume of cut and fill, we're, for the most part, along the existing grades of what's there now. We have to be cognizant of the 100-year floodplain to ensure that we're not filling in the 100-year floodplain, so there's no significant grading on the site. We don't feel as though the project is affecting pedestrian and vehicular safety. We got some comments from the fire department. They did not have comments, so I think that by virtue of them not having comments, takes care of the safety issue there, and we're providing a full access to that existing sidewalk and repairing that existing sidewalk. So the entrance to all the units, if someone was in a wheelchair, could get into each one of the units from the sidewalk. We're minimizing the obstruction of scenic views by accommodating the Historic Board from the Riverwalk on the other side of the canal, as well as tours that are going to be on the Pawtucket Canal. I think that this is going to be an enhancement of the project from what's there now. We know that people, because of its, below the road, 12 feet, that people have been able to go down there and stay there for an extended period of time. So this is going to eliminate that scenic issue that's currently there now. And it's going to look nice from the canal. We're going to be doing a concrete masonry unit construction, and it's going to stand out along the canal there compared to some of the other businesses that you see along that canal. The project, again, minimizes visual intrusion. We're controlling the parking. The parking's going to be below the roadway. I think most people will drive by it and not see the parking from Western Avenue, and we won't be affecting any residential views from residences. I think virtually all the abutting resident properties are commercially zoned or industrially zoned. We're providing some natural buffers and screening with some 4 proposed trees along the easterly side. And we're also going to be doing some landscaping, and we're accommodating the picket fence feature along the canal. Because we're low from Western Ave, headlight and lighting intrusion won't be an issue with this project. We're keeping with character and materials of the building, with what we're proposing with concrete masonry unit. It's gonna be a nice-looking building. Mr. Susi wants this to be a nice-looking building. It's not gonna just be a, like a Butler building style that sometimes you see along these industrial areas. So he's putting a lot of thought into the way that this building's gonna be constructed and looked from the roadway. We're gonna be minimizing contamination of groundwater by introducing some porous pavement technologies with some infiltration in the parking area. Those designs have been substantiated with subsurface testing, and we feel as though that'll ultimately be fully in compliance with all the stormwater regulations of the city of Lowell and the Mass DEP. We're providing adequate access for fire and service equipment by virtue of being right on Western Avenue and providing unrestricted access into the site off of Western Ave with our driveway. And again, we're providing stormwater mitigation for 100% of the rainwater on the property. And I can leave it to the board for any questions.
Can you just address a couple more of the comments we got from staff?
Oh, yeah, we can go through those, sure.
Okay. I know you did touch on the handicap space, and then they did mention something about the dumpster, so if you could start with those, or whichever way you want to go. I mean, we have some from Judy, we got some from her comments, we got the city engineer as well as the traffic engineer, I believe, and the other one seemed to be pretty much no problem.
Yeah, so originally, I thought it was a good idea to provide a handicap parking space on Western Ave. We wanted to put up 2 signs that would identify the beginning and the end of the space. Put a proposed space on Western Ave, seeing how it's fairly lightly traveled. And we would even, if necessary, it would be required for us to go in and petition that request to the city council. The comment came back from Eric Eby. I don't think he thought it was necessarily a bad idea, but it just wasn't something that typically the planning board sees proposed on an existing road. So we made sure that we weren't in any non-compliance with the handicap regulations and or ADA regulations, excuse me. And the ADA regulations just require you to provide a parking space for you to access the building. They don't differentiate whether it's the front of the building, the back of the building. So these businesses are meant to be contractor storage for plumbers, electricians, possibly someone making signs, things along that nature, trades, businesses. So we moved the parking space to the rear. So that's the handicap parking that's proposed is compliant, but originally.
Can you show me there, Matt, where it is, if you would? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we just put it in the rear.
No, and Eric mentioned something about the dumpster.
Yep, the dumpster, we're gonna work with DPD and Eric Eby. It's a little tight back there. We ran the turning radius templates we have for dump truck. It is tight. We were gonna shift the dumpster back another 15 feet is one of our proposals. It's not on this plan. We could shift this dumpster area back. And not want to put the dumpsters here. That's going to be our primary snow storage area. And we didn't want them to the left when you go down the drive, because it's just going to look bad coming into the property, and it's going to be right on the canal. And it wouldn't have easy accessibility from the unit. So we were anticipating by having it on the westerly side of the building that folks up in the office sections could walk down the walkway, come down the stairs and put trash in from the mezzanine areas, And then the folks in the contractor garages could come around the side as well, and it was kind of tucked in back there. And you virtually wouldn't see it from the roadway unless you were walking and looked over the railing. And we thought that that was a good spot. We also were thinking, put it up in this corner and take out a parking spot. And we could accommodate it there, but we feel as though we can accommodate a place for the dumpster working with DPD. We're gonna have smaller dumpsters, not big dumpsters. They're gonna be small, 6x6 dumpsters on wheels, so they can be wheeled as well. So we feel as though we can work with DPD and Eric Eby to find a suitable spot for the dumpsters. Like I said, we ran a template before I came here this evening. We can get a truck turned around here. They would come in, 3-point turn back up, and then come into here, and then back up again. We made some adjustments to some grading on the entrance. That was minor. I took a look at all of Ms. DeMayo's comments and feel as though that all of those comments can be addressed with the engineering department. She noted that she didn't have a stormwater report, but, we've submitted one. We feel as though that that'll be sufficient to meet her approval, similar to other designs we've done in the past. Fire department did not have any comments. Same issues, comments coming from the traffic engineer. I think that's it. The wastewater engineer seemed to like our porous concrete design. Like I said, we've met with the historic board. We're in front of them for a hearing. I believe it's on June 9th. Yeah. So, we sent plans over to them today. We're scheduled for that public hearing, and anticipate that from the meetings that we had that, they've generally have liked our design of our building, and feels that we'll get approval from them next week on Monday.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else here want to be heard in regards to this project on Western Ave? Anybody else here? Not seen anybody else, but they're advertising anyway, so. Anybody else want to be heard? In favor? In favor? Anybody against? Against? Hearing none at this time, I'll turn it over to any of the board members. May have any questions?
I have a couple.
Sure, Mr. Lockhart, I'd like to start with you.
I like your project. I think it really cleans up a pretty tough area right now. I do have a couple of questions. One, relative to your sidewalk improvements. Can you just point out where that sidewalk is and what your plans are with it?
Along this entire section here. Right now, the concrete ends here,
Okay.
so it'll be from here all the way through the curb cut. And there'll be handicap ramps at the curb cut on either side. And a handicap entrance to the mezzanine office space off of Western Ave as well. So there'll be 4 ramps.
Okay, the other question I have is that you got quite a nice piece of green space there. Do you have any additional landscaping that you're gonna do within that area? Seems to me it lends itself to maybe a few street trees or something. It's just shown blank right at the moment. Is there anything you have proposed there?
We were not. We were just going to vegetate it. with hydroseed and let it. Yeah.
Talking trees and things of that sort?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems to lend itself to it with a,
Even for the snow removal, not opposed to a tree too.
yeah, okay. You work with DPW.
Sure.
Yeah, all right. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lockhart. Mr. Fischett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to clarify a few things, Judy, just the public notice indicates the applicant is seeking site plan review approval under 11.3 and 11.4. 11.3 is special permit. I just want to make sure, was there any requirement for a special permit?
No, it is just site plan review,
So it's just 11.4?
11.4, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything on that. And just a few things. I agree with Mr. Lockhart. I certainly think this is a good project, and we'll clean up the site, although prior to this project, I didn't even know the site existed. So when you turn onto that street, it catches you by surprise. I know it's interesting, I was thinking the same thing with Mr. Lockhart mentioned, although, do you have any idea, Matt, what the drop-off is with that landscape area in the road? Because I think some landscaping might get lost as far as
That's
any
true,
kind of
yeah, depending on.
streetscape, but I'm just curious.
Won't
It's
see
quite
the
a drop.
trees.
Yeah, it's quite a drop.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Yeah, that was the only thing because I had the
When
same
you look
thought.
at that, it looks like you could have a little,
But you're looking,
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
you're looking
yeah.
way down, yeah.
good point, Jerry.
So because I was thinking the same thing, but obviously that was
You need tall trees there, huh?
yeah, some
Real tall,
redwoods, I
yeah.
think, to add to the streetscape. The other question, I know there was some comment regarding the width of the driveway, and I know the opening, the curb cut's 32 feet. Could you elaborate a little on that? Because I think the engineering mentioned that the construction entrance should be as wide as the driveway, unlike what is shown on the plans. I'm just a little curious as to, Judy, can you add something to that as far as what their comment was?
So, sorry, you were asking a question to Judy, excuse me.
No, Matt, I'm sorry, yeah, I didn't know if you,
You can go first.
So the construction entrance is typically just for trucks coming in and out,
Right.
which typically only need a one-way drive, which typically is 12 feet wide
right,
of stone. And then when the final curb cut's being constructed, that's when we widen it out. And, well, it'll be widened with gravel coming into the property, but the trucks go in and out on top of that construction entrance to lose the debris off of their tires before they enter the Western Ave from the site. That's the primary purpose of the construction entrance.
is a purpose, right? I mean, I personally didn't have an issue with it, especially where it's contractor garage. I mean, it really seems to lend to the use of the garage as far as access and exiting, but,
Well, it's a temporary, the construction entrance is just temporary for construction.
okay, all right, now where is that going to,
Excuse me?
that's going to be the same location with a permanent drive?
Yes, it'll be in the middle of where the permanent driveway is, but it's
Okay.
just for the construction phase of it.
Gotcha, okay, all right, I just want to make sure. It was a little unclear as to what was being requested there.
Yeah, so what we do, just to clarify, is we put some of the erosion control measures on the grading plan in order to do two things at once. So we just show the temporary construction entrance and the erosion and sedimentation control on the grading plan.
Fair enough. In the, I did have just a few. Now, the existing sidewalk that you're going to repair that to city standards, is that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. The, I think I really didn't have much. I like the brick face of the building. I think that is in keeping with what's on the opposite side of the street as you drive down. I think it's in keeping with that architectural look, so I certainly from that perspective. And I'm assuming, and what is the jurisdiction over the historic board on this site? I just,
It's the,
Jurisdiction is they can provide, well, we're in the downtown historic district.
that-
There's a,
okay.
there's a strip that comes down through here.
That just catches, that must just
Yeah.
catch the strip,
Right.
yeah.
And they have input
And have
on the
they
visual
given you-
character of the building.
Have they given you preliminary nod on this? I just would hate to see it deviate too far from,
Well, you could ask Mr. Lockhart whether he's spoken with Mr. Stowell, but
Yeah, no,
like I
they-
said, we're going to add some light fixtures.
architect looked at it, Steve looked at it, and they're gonna do fencing. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they're in line with the,
So we were going to add, so
There,
this is what you see from the canal and the Riverwalk on the other side. here. So in order to enhance that view from the canal and the Riverwalk, we were going to add some window features.
yeah, could you show us, that's gonna be above the garage
It'll be
doors? Is
above
that
the
what it's
garage
going to be,
doors,
above the
there'll be
garage
those
doors?
awning style,
yeah, that's,
1.5 foot tall by 6 foot long, maybe with 3 insets in that, maybe 7 feet, there'll be 2.5 feet by 1.5 foot.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Light fixtures there to add some light in the back. Mrs. Stoll wanted some additional lintel features on top of the garage bays. And the fencing was a part of their input. We felt as though our meetings have been positive. And, I told Mr. Stoll that we were meeting this evening with the board. So I think if there were any negative views towards the project, I would hope that he would have provided those
Sure.
to the board before tonight's hearing.
Okay, good, thank you, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
You're welcome. Mr. Boyle?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a couple of questions. First of all, the sort of crisscrossing of the grades between the Western Avenue and your sidewalk. What are those going to be like at the edges? How big a grade separation is that?
It's a 2.5 to 3 foot grade separation.
Okay.
So at the middle, it's coming right into the sidewalk. It's a 2.5 to 3 foot on either side. One of the concerns was when it's going against grade, what would effect be from the view from Western Ave?
Yes.
So we were addressing that with the historic board.
Okay, what are you thinking in terms of material for those retaining walls, poured concrete?
Yes.
All right, you're addressing that with the historic board. Okay. The plan that was submitted with the application differs from this plan that we found tonight
Yes.
in one way. Your landscaping plan originally showed 5 trees in that strip between the two properties, and now you're down to 4?
Good observation, yes. One of the comments that came from DPD, Ms. Timon, had noted that maybe we should be incorporating some additional drainage mitigation on the slope on the edge of the access drive. So what we did was we put in a swale feature with a infiltration, what we call a level spreader at the downhill gradient portion of that swale. So we needed to remove a tree because that tree was gonna impact the performance of that drainage feature. I didn't feel as though that lower tree was gonna, it was gonna hinder the design, but I don't think it would actually survive with the way that the feature was set up for the
Okay.
drainage.
And is that, the area you're talking about, is that up near the street?
No, that area is actually down below.
Oh, okay. I see. So what you just described to me, the reason the tree had to go, it didn't require taking it out from up near the street. It would still, could one of these still be located close to the sidewalk?
I don't think that it's realistic that it could be located there in terms of its survival rate, just because of the slope and where it's located.
Okay.
But we wanted to add some landscaping features coming in the entrance. It's not like we're trying to, if anything, we're trying to buffer from what's next to us, right? We have a power plant next to us, so.
Yeah,
it wa- It's not like we're trying to add landscaping features for a residential neighborhood.
Yep.
But we're just trying to be realistic on what the survival rate there, and this landscaping plan may change. Mr. Susi may want to incorporate some bushes into this landscaped area, but the important thing is to plant things that will survive on that hill.
Okay.
It's getting plenty of sun.
Yep.
It's just gotta, they have to be trees that are able to survive on that area.
I see, okay. This gate you mentioned on the far west side at the point of the triangle, what's the grade change there? Is it possible to have access?
You can access the property there now. But we propose to have a gate there in case at some point Mr. Susi would want to access the property through there.
Okay,
And plus, we don't want, this area at night is a place where people go. So we want security. We want this place fenced off. We do not want access to this property easily through that bridge area. So that was the primary reason of having it there.
okay. Okay, your sidewalk, the sidewalk that you're adding, connects up with the city concrete sidewalk to the west, and to the east, it's you're gonna have your handicap ramp on the eastern side of your access driveway, and then that is,
It's just going to end. There'll be a section put on, a
Okay.
typical concrete section,
okay,
to create the ramp. And we just know that maybe someday there'll be a sidewalk that'll extend, improve down the roadway, but we're going to put it in.
okay. Okay, so what exactly are you meeting? Is it a broken concrete sidewalk?
There was a sidewalk there.
Uh-huh,
There was a fence installed into the sidewalk, which created vegetation to then grow next to the fence. And then that in turn created a small, thin layer of debris on top of an existing bituminous sidewalk.
bituminous, okay. That's in front of your neighbor I'm asking about.
What's that?
I'm asking about in front of your neighbor? In front of the power plant?
It's the same sort of thing that's happening down there.
Right.
Yeah, I think theirs is a little bit better condition. Yeah, there's just no trees in the way.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Okay, you keep using CMU, concrete masonry unit?
Concrete masonry unit, it's a split-face block wall. There'll be some banding to that wall to give it some texture, so it's not gonna be a complete one-colored wall.
Okay.
Oh, it's not, just the top? Excuse me, just the top banding.
Okay, now, is this basically a brick-looking material, or? Looks like concrete blocks, okay. 4 by 16. Okay. Okay, those were my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Malovich, any questions, concerns?
I don't, I have just one comment on the site. Have you sampled the site in terms of blue soil? And that was a common use of fill from the old gas company.
Well, we did, Mr. Malovich. In fact, the railroad tracks used to come through this area. If you look at the old atlas, this is where the trains would come underneath here. It's actually split up into 6 tracks.
Oh, okay.
Some of the trains could be stored here, and the other trains would continue along the canal all the way through and eventually connect to the depot down at the corner of Thorndike in this area.
Yeah,
We expected to find contamination debris, and we were pleasantly surprised that it was fairly consistent gravelly fill.
yeah, because
And-
of railroad land, they pretty bad, had a stable. Yeah, and it's been there for a long time, so
Yeah.
it's unlikely that any of that blue soil ever got there.
No, so we didn't find any contamination. It was pretty good
Yeah, I
material.
think this project is clean and crisp, and I think it's gonna be good for that corner.
Thank you. I know you had a drawing there for what the rear of the building's gonna look like. Do you have one that shows the front of the building, or did I miss that part? So the top is the rear, right? This is the front. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought, okay. And that's the rear, okay. What I was saying earlier to Matt before the meeting started is, it was nice to go to the site visit and see the plan on the site. We don't get that all the time, especially there, as it matters. You know you're in the right spot.
Yeah.
Well,
Part of our requirements that you put it up, everybody doesn't go along with it, but when you're there, you have all the plans in the car and everything else, you walk out, this is the site. Where a lot of times we get an address, especially when it's a vacant piece of land, you don't see 864 or whatever it could be on any given name of street. But, so, I like the sign up there. I mean, it made it nice, it's like, I'm in the right spot.
Mr. Clausen made sure that we didn't forget the sign. Yes.
What else?
I know a lawyer I work with who, with the court, and he's a city solicitor in Beverly, and he sees Mr. Clausen all the time, so I'll pass that along through him. But I'm glad to see you clean up that sidewalk, like you say, it comes down, it just stops. And
Yeah.
there's no other sidewalks going down the whole side, except if you want to call the sidewalk next to you a sidewalk, because really, no one walks on that.
Right.
I mean, and talk about the green space, I said, I was saying to Jerry, the only green thing down there you might see is a green car, but there's no green space on that, all the way down. I mean, like, even on the left-hand side, where all the buildings are there now, they're working right out in the street, basically, as
Yeah,
Jerry
they
and I
are.
commented earlier when we did
The
our
whole
site
way.
visits. I mean, so, for the landscaping part, obviously, whatever you can do would be nice, but, as they're saying, it's not a residential neighborhood, it's not like you're trying to beautify it, but, we'll be the first one coming down the right, so any tree appearance, anything else would be nice, and obviously, if you're willing to work with the landscaping plan, with DPD, I'd have no problem with that. I know it's a light industrial zone, we don't see a lot of light industrial come before us anymore, because it's very limited, so it's nice to see some action being done in that light industrial zone. And I know you said the only other issue was the dumpster. I mean, you worked out the handicap issue, but the dumpster, the fact that it's on the wheels, I think will give you a little more flexibility. I mean, I know it has to be screened, but with the wheels, you can move the dumpster as well as the car to get to it, instead of being the real big ones. But if that's screened, you can open those gates and move it with the wheels, it gives you a little more flexibility in that. Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, it gives you some flexibility, so, so besides that, like you say, I think it would definitely be an improvement on the site, and I know what you mean about when you come up this Western Ave and you take a right onto that street there, and you go underneath
Cayenne, if you
Street.
take a left on Cayenne.
Yeah, then you go down there, and that's with old railroad tracks, everything else are there, and underneath all that overpass, there's a lot of graffiti and people hanging in that neighborhood area, you can tell at night. Yeah, so I can understand your security issues and how you want to address that issue, because, like, doing the side, it went down that street, and, as far as you could, you had to stop and turn around and come back, but you can tell there's activity down that neighborhood. So, the only comments I have, what you're willing to work with, DPD for the landscape and the dumpster. Besides that, I think, there'd definitely be an improvement for the site. Those are the only comments I have. Any other additional follow-up by any board members?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a couple of thoughts I wanted to bring up. First of all, I really like, I think this is a very good project. I really like the way it's designed to address Western Avenue. Frankly, I think that in your write-up about meeting the site plan standards, I think it could have bragged more. The minimization of the cut and fill, the design element of the one story on the street, but 2 stories when accessed from the rear, it's a very good way to handle the grade issue. It's also very appropriate for this location, the way the other industrial sites are on the street. One of the very first things that I thought was neat when I moved to the city is that we aren't afraid of our industrial properties. We aren't afraid of our industrial land. We don't hide them, as an inherently unattractive, problematic use. they're right there, a lot of them are right there, visible and attractive, and the assumption is made that, yeah, we can live with decent industrial land in the places we live. Think of the old Freudenberg building that was right on the canal walk downtown. It was not unattractive, and it was, it was right there. Something similar going on here. We're going to have this industrial site, industrial use, right on the canal, right across from the canal walk, and it's assumed it can be a perfectly good neighbor, a perfectly attractive property right next to these important visual assets. A little bit of attention is being put onto making sure it does that, and it's something that I like about Lowell. It's something that I think really adds to our character, that we do think in these terms. That said, I'd like to think in those terms a little bit more. There was talk about street trees, and street trees aren't really a feasible issue because of the grade change. Also, not all that necessary in the neighborhood, given the character of the surrounding appearances. I do feel that the trees would be best located along the canal. I think that's where, I think a green edge along the canal is really where the design of the parking layout should be focused. Those you're locating those 4 trees along that eastern edge of the property, you said, to screen the rather unattractive abutting use. The thing about large shade trees is that from the level of their base, they don't screen so much as they beautify. You're still seeing everything that's there, but there's a nice looking tree in front that you can also see. If you're really interested in truly screening that, you'd probably be better off with a hedge along there. And if those trees could come down along the canal, I think that's the big advantage. I think that's the best use of them, most advantageous use of them. I noticed in your write-up, in your narrative, you call out, there are small trees located along the southern edge of the property along the Pawtucket Canal. I'm glad you called that out. That was something that jumped out at me too. There's a little band there, which includes oak trees and the native white birch, which is sprung up along there. That look is an important element from the canal walk, from the canal boat tours. And if possible, I'd like to see it continued further along the property. At its narrowest point there, how small is that strip between the pavement and the edge of your property?
Yeah, we have so the canal walls were constructed such that they were stepped back.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that probably 15 feet from the wall, you'll still find parts of the canal wall underneath 15 feet back.
Okay.
So underneath that section is not just free-flowing native soils.
Okay.
It's all constructed wall underneath, behind that wall.
Okay.
We know that. We were down on a property just beyond, and we discovered that when we were doing some test pitting. That's why we keep all our drainage way back from the canal.
Okay. Yep,
We know that we're not gonna hit wall.
I see. Okay.
But what we were just discussing while you were commenting on that, Mr. Boyle, is we could move those trees over to this section here.
Uh-huh.
Spread those out there. We'll step them back from the
Yes.
canal, probably at least 10 feet from the edge of the canal wall.
Okay.
So that they can have the sufficient growth for the roots, because as you know, with trees, you have your critical root zone, which is at your drip line of your canopy.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have soils that can accommodate the root structure beneath your canopy, or nothing will grow on that side if the roots can't extend to the canopy.
Right.
So they have to be pushed back.
Yep,
Yeah. So we
Okay.
can do that on that, down on that edge. We can take those trees. The trees were just to put in there, just to kind of add some visual attraction coming into the property, not
Right.
so much, you're never going to take away a power plant next to the entrance. So
right,
we can most certainly take those out, spread them along here,
okay. Yeah.
and just provide the plantings there. And I think that it may address your
Yes,
concern.
I think that sounds good. I would like to, as, when we act on this, to include a condition that we frequently include, which is that you get a planting and landscape plan approved by the DPD. I wanted to bring up something in the landscape plan that we don't usually talk about, but might be appropriate here, which is not just what you're putting in, but what you're taking out. I noticed there are those anthus trees, a number of them on the site.
We're going to take all of those out.
Okay, all right.
We're going to,
Wonderful.
and we're also going to take the trees that are growing out of the wall out as well,
Yep,
to stop the degradation of our property line and the canal wall as well.
okay, excellent. Good, like to make sure that that element is included in the landscape plans, in the conversations you have about that. I was really hoping that it would be possible to get one of those trees up close to the sidewalk to where it's functioning as a street tree. If that's not possible, it's not possible. See
I
if
don't-
it is, if it's not, it's not.
Yep, okay.
At the same time, pulling those trees over to this area of the property, it sounds good. I would like at least, I think, this is something that can be worked out in the details, at least one should be left at this location, though, in the planting area that's shown, perhaps the one that's furthest south and closest to the canal.
So you'd like to leave one down on the canal in that corner?
Right.
That's fine.
Okay, and then the rest along the canal. Species, maybe it would be possible to pull Diane Trad into this, but where there are those, that little strip of oak and the native white birch, that's really cool to have that native white birch in a location like this, and it's still healthy, and it's gonna be growing for a long time, and it's integrated into a system of other hardier trees, the way, the way birch needs to be in order to survive like that. I would like to, if it would be possible to get a little more of that going on, I would be pleased to see it. Again, though, these are details to be left to discussions with the DPD. Just sharing some thoughts they might or might not choose to bring into play. Okay, your snow storage area. I think it is incumbent upon us, we should include a condition, no snow storage next to the canal. There needs to be a buffer of some size. Question for staff, what should that size be? Judy, could you help out? What's that? Are
Well,
you
I
familiar
think
with-
they do have two areas that they've indicated for snow storage, but you're talking about the buffer from the canal itself?
Yeah, there shouldn't be a plowed mound of snow with salt and gravel and whatever sitting directly next to the canal.
So we've allocated this large area
Uh-huh,
on the westerly section for snow storage.
Yep.
Which is nice. We're also gonna have a snow storage area on the easterly side, not to plow snow there, but to have it, when you're plowing down, it's gonna go off to that side
Yes.
of the blade, coming down the entrance. But the nice thing about that section is that is a bioswale, which goes into an infiltration system with a level spreading overflow. So it's being treated, even though it's along the easterly side of the entrance.
Yeah, I'm thinking,
But we're not gonna be plowing snow off the drive, the parking area into the canal. There's gonna be a fence there.
Yeah.
And if we plow that, it's gonna degrade the fence. So we're not gonna wanna plow that.
But you'll be taking it and pushing straight west and off the end with the snow?
There'll be a little bit, but they'll come around and push that snow off to the end.
Uh-huh.
Because that area is not designated as a snow storage area. Yeah, there will be some snow there.
No, I'm talking about,
That's where all the snow's going.
are you, what direction is the slope there, and are you proposing regrading there?
It's virtually flat there.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not sloping down to the canal there. It's been, last year, there was quite a lot of activity going down on here for a few years. Mr. Susi went in and basically, cleaned up the whole area, leveled it off, and right now it's a completely level area.
okay.
The mound that you see there is actually where the trees are all going up at different angles. That's where the parking area is.
Okay,
You can see that there's an existing conditions plan that shows the extent of where that existing vegetation was.
yep,
And that'll all be leveled off.
okay. All right, what I'm getting at here is I want to make sure the area where the true snow storage area, where your snowbank is plowed onto, that it is graded away from the canal.
Yeah, you know what we can do? We can make sure there's a very slight depression through there. So there's almost a shallow bowl
Okay.
there, so it'll be some ponding.
Okay,
And then that'll ensure that when the melt happens, it's gonna naturally go down into that bowl area. And we have fairly well draining soils too.
Mhm.
So it's not like we have a hard pan gravel base that is just running off into the canal.
okay. Okay, would you object to a condition stating no snows to be plowed within 10 feet of the canal? No, I'm plowed onto and stored, you know, you won't plow your snowbank onto, you won't put your snowbank within 10 feet of the canal.
Yeah, there will be, when you go by there in the middle of winter, there's gonna be a little bit of snow here naturally,
Uh-huh,
just because you get a little bit of over pushover from the plow.
uh-huh,
But the main snow storage area
yeah,
will be here.
yeah, and that main snow storage area there, I just want to make sure that the snow is plowed a little further north as opposed to south right along the canal.
Sure.
I mean, that gate that I was proposing to go over the canal is out now.
I know, your gate's pretty far south, isn't it?
I think we're good with that, Mr.
Okay.
Boyle. Yes, we are
Okay.
fine.
Okay. We haven't heard back from the engineer about the stormwater plan?
No, at the time, Lisa did not have a chance to review the stormwater calculations, but she does have all the material. So
Okay.
that has yet to be reviewed by engineering.
Okay. I'm not sure whether this is one that we would need that before acting, or whether it's one that we would condition upon their approval.
He indicated that he would go along with the outline by Mr. Mayo, which indicated she wanted those, and he said he's acceptable to that, which she requested.
Yes, you could
You said you'd be-
conditionally approve
She
it
said
based on
she's
her approval.
commented here, and you said you have no problem providing that, right?
I have no problem with adhering to all the
Right.
review comments and conditional upon her approval.
Okay,
I like to add that we are going before the Conservation Commission as well.
that's true.
Plus, you can't, legally, you can't put it into the river anyways, it's a federal.
No, you can't.
It's a federal law. If you plow
Correct.
into the river, you
Yeah,
have more problems than
If
dealing
you
with this.
dump it directly.
More problems than dealing with the city.
The way this is designed is that the
Yep.
lower section here is slightly sloping away from the canal into the property to this porous pavement strip.
Yep,
And I won't go into the performance standards of bordering land subject to flooding, filling in a 100-year flood, but we're making sure we're compliant to that, and that we are fully confident that this design will meet her approval.
Okay. All right, then, all my concerns, I feel, can be satisfied.
The only question I have, I like your landscaping the way you have it now coming into the site, and with all those trees there, because after being up there and looking at it, if by you putting that landscape and those trees in, when you enter into your site, it's really defining your piece of property.
Right.
Because if not, the building next to you, like you say, you know, you can't shine a snake on me, as the old expression say. And so this way, you're gonna have that green, you're gonna see your property line. You're gonna define it as much as you possibly can do on your site. And I think putting it in the rear, or putting up the other part, it's gonna get lost in the visibility part of it completely. Yeah, you're not gonna see it, no. But I mean, coming in now, you're gonna say, okay, these are the trees, this is your property line, it's defining it, and who knows when and if in the future, if that other plant goes, but, you know, probably way, you know, a long time future. But at least yours is defined, it has the landscape, so if DPD is working on the landscaping plan, I like the fact of the trees there, because it does, you know, define your property. You have a little bit more of a buffer zone there from that. I mean, it's not a good-looking building, let's face it, I mean, so.
Also wants, the historical wants us to put a 5-foot wood fence up with 4-inch slats, not too much space, 4-inch slats, so you can adding another 5 feet too.
Yeah, because I think, you know, that way, I mean, but that, you know, it beautifies your site and really defines, you know, where your property line is, and, you know, and then, like you say, if and when something goes down the street, they pick up the green space, they pick up the sidewalk as it continues down, because as of now, there's no green space on the whole street, really. None. I mean, you drive all the way down there, you know, when you stop at the studios and you turn around and come back up, and there's none. You just know,
That's nice, right at the beginning.
yeah, so I mean, I like the fact that you have it coming in your driveway, it's right there, you know, it sets you apart from that other building, so, those are the only comments I have when they work with staff, you know, with, the landscaping. 'Cause I think those would serve more of a purpose than putting in where your snow plowing is, or put it in the rear of the building. You know, put it in the rear of the building, I mean, especially with the grade there, like you say, when you look on site and you look down how deep you are, you know, I didn't bother walking down there, I just stood in the corner and looked down, I've been down a few feet and I stopped, I'm like, you know, I figured the poison ivy and everything else within that site, I'd stop right there, but you have a good grade there, so that's the only comment I have on the landscape, but I'd like the trees, you know, on the left, I think you get more aesthetic value of them there than in the rear, or up to the right where your grade is so far down when you cut into Western Ave. Plus you have the black railing fence that's there, and everybody else puts their signs up there advertising what's down that street. You're gonna miss all that, you know, because those turns coming in, you have that sheet metal sign, those other signs, and so you'd really need something really pretty high up to see through that black railing fence. So that's just a comment on the landscaping.
And just to the chairman's point, that building adjacent to your property with the tank in the rear, I honestly think, to what Mr. Boyle was saying, certainly street trees don't provide a buffer if you're talking conventional single-family home next to you at a lower level. But when you look at the grade change and you're trying to soften the look between the two buildings, I think from a scale perspective, the trees are going to help to mask some of that. So I think you're getting some benefit from it. I like the location of those trees, and I think that really needs to be focused on in finalizing the plan with DPD.
One other aspect of trees on slopes is the roots add some stability to the soils as well.
Sure, yeah.
So
Yeah, especially
it's
with
a
that
benefit
slope.
there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any further comments? If not, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the site plan with the following conditions. Work with DPD to finalize the placement of the dumpster on the site. To work with DPD to finalize the landscaping plan. And subject to final approval by the city's engineering department. And as outlined in her,
22nd memo.
in the May 22nd memo, yes. And I would add, and I think that would be really part of engineering and conservation, but to Mr. Boyle's point, just the final approval from the city engineer regarding the snow storage drainage on the site. And I think that they'll take that all into consideration, obviously, as they're looking at the final calculations on the site, so.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. Any opposition? So the motion carries. So would you say you have historic board, then you have, then when you go to conservation?
We're gonna go to conservation in a few weeks.
Well, good luck with the site, obviously.
great.
It's gonna
Thank you.
help, especially with that's the corner lot coming in, it's
Difficult
gonna help,
site.
pick it
Yeah.
up, you know, for sure. You know, like you say, you drive down there quickly, you don't even see it until you see this big building.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anything you do there is gonna really beautify the site, so good luck with it.
Great, thank you very much.
Do you still intend to apply for the handicap space permit on the street? No?
We plan to put the ramp in there, just making it accessible, but not facing something.
Oh, okay. If you had wanted to, I'm sure this, I'm sure the board would be pleased to support.
And markings won't be there, the actual physical ramp will be there,
Okay,
sidewalk, it'll be there.
okay.
Plus, there's not enough, yeah.
There's no signs there to prohibit anyone from parking.
Parking there, right.
So if somebody was handicapped coming to the facility, they could stop on the road there and get out and come in.
I'm sure there'll be meters there, shortly.
Good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Next week.
Okay, moving along with the agenda, we have any further correspondence from planning staff? Anything to update with us, Judy? No? Okay. Any of them board members have anything from the boards that they're sitting on?
No?
Nothing? Okay. So any further comments from anybody else? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's made.
Second.
And second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. We are adjourned. Good night, and thank you, everyone.